Hey everyone, and welcome back to Outta Here Baseball. In this video, we're going to take a look at the top 10 batters with the most career strikeouts. Strikeouts have been on the rise in baseball ever since the home run became more of a common occurrence in the 1920s. As long as a batter could hit the ball for extra bases, no one would complain if they struck out at a high rate. The thing is, what was considered a high rate of strikeouts during that time is not the same as today. While Babe Ruth would strike out around 80 times a season, the sluggers of today will strike out 180 times. With power pitchers who can throw almost 100 miles an hour and the growing emphasis on relief pitching specialists, these strikeout numbers have risen rapidly in the past decade and show no signs of slowing. As a result, 7 of the 10 players on this list primarily played in the last 30 years. This top 10 will likely change a lot in the coming years, with several active players in the top 50 in all-time strikeouts, including Mark Reynolds and Curtis Granderson, who should crack the top 10 in 2019. With that said, let's begin our countdown of the top 10 batters with the most career strikeouts through the 2018 season. In 10th place is Phillies legend Mike Schmidt. Considered by many to be the best third baseman in league history, Mike Schmidt was a terrific fielder and slugger in the 70s and 80s. At the plate, he was what would be considered a 3 true outcome hitter, meaning he had a lot of homers, drew a lot of walks, and struck out a lot. These 3 are called true outcomes because they are plays that do not involve defense besides the pitcher and catcher. Schmidt led the National League in homers 8 times, walks 3 times, and strikeouts 4 times, racking up his largest strikeout total in 1975 with 180. He would win 3 MVP awards in his career and set the record for most homers by a third baseman with 548, which led him towards Hall of Fame induction in 1995. In 9th is outfielder Mike Cameron. Cameron was a one-time All-Star, known for being an excellent fielder with great speed and decent power. He is perhaps best remembered for his 4 years in Seattle, where he was part of the 0-1 team that won 116 games. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out my video that goes into more detail on that team. As for Cameron, he was a fair bet to steal 20-plus bases and hit 20 homers in each season, but would also strike out well over 100 times a year. Out of the players in this list, he has the fewest career homers and is probably the least notable, though he is in some strong company, as you will see later. 8th on the all-time strikeouts list is Hall of Famer Willie Stargell. Nicknamed Pops, Stargell won 2 World Series in his 21-year career, all of which was spent with the Pirates. His peak years in the early 70s saw him narrowly miss out on a couple of MVP awards, but Stargell eventually got his due in 1979, winning NL MVP at age 39, making him the oldest person to win an MVP award at the time. He would launch 475 home runs in his career, including 48 in 1971, where he also set a career high in strikeouts with 154. In total, Stargell had 13 seasons with at least 100 strikeouts. In 7th place on our list is Jose Canseco. Early on in his career, Canseco was a superstar for the Oakland Athletics, winning MVP in 1988 and the World Series the following year. He and Mark McGwire formed the famous Bash Brothers duo, and together would terrorize opponents with home run hitting ability. Canseco was the first player to hit 40 homers and steal 40 bases in a season, a feat which has since been replicated 3 times by other players. As far as strikeouts go, Canseco had 5 seasons with at least 150, topping off with 175 Ks in his rookie season. Next up is our first player with over 2,000 strikeouts, Andres Galarraga. Galarraga hit 399 home runs in his career and benefited from playing in a thin Colorado air during the mid-90s. He was still a strong hitter on the road and had a couple of good seasons during his time in Montreal at the beginning of his career. He led the league in strikeouts 4 times and also did not draw many walks, typically finishing with less than 50 walks and over 150 strikeouts in any given year. Galarraga missed the 1999 season due to cancer treatment for a tumor in his back. He would come back strong the next season at age 39 and win Comeback Player of the Year. In 5th place, we have Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod made his major league debut at age 18 and ended up playing until he was 41. Over that long and historic career, he racked up huge totals in several offensive categories, including 2,000 plus runs and RBIs, almost 700 home runs, and a ton of strikeouts. The 3-time MVP never led the league in strikeouts, but he had numerous seasons with totals in the range of 120 to 140, so over 22 seasons, the numbers added up. Also of note is that Rodriguez is part of the 40-homer, 40-stolen base club, giving us 2 players on that list out of the 4 to reach that mark. In 4th is 7-time All-Star Sammy Sosa. Sosa is one of 8 players to hit at least 600 home runs in his career, with most of those coming around the turn of the century as he and Mark McGwire competed for the single-season home run record. Early on in his career, Sosa showed good power and a knack for striking out. As his home run totals began reaching new heights, so too did his strikeouts. He struck out at least 170 times from 1997 to 1999, while hitting 60 homers in 2 of those seasons, and would continue with his all-or-nothing approach until 2007 at age 38. Third place is the king of the 3 true outcomes, Adam Dunn. 8 times Adam Dunn hit at least 38 home runs in a season. 8 times Adam Dunn drew at least 100 walks. 8 times Adam Dunn struck out at least 170 times. You knew what you were getting when Adam Dunn stepped up to the plate, and for a number of years, he was a model of consistency for sluggers. So consistent, in fact, that he hit exactly 40 home runs in 4 straight seasons. Dunn retired at age 34 with 462 home runs, and had he continued to play a few more seasons, he would have likely reached 500 homers and top spot on the all-time strikeouts list. And if you want to know more about how odd of a career Adam Dunn had, the guys over at SB Nation have a terrific video about him on their channel, which I'll leave a link to in the description. Our runner-up for the most strikeouts of all time is Jim Thome. Thome had a successful 22-year career that culminated in induction into the Hall of Fame in 2018. Like Sosa and Rodriguez, Thome is part of the 600 home run club, having hit at least 30 homers in a season on 12 separate occasions. At his peak, Thome would typically draw walk totals around 120 per season, while striking out over 150 times. Despite his prowess as one of the game's best sluggers, Thome made just 4 All-Star teams and had 4 top 10 MVP finishes. And now for number 1, it's Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. Jackson played 21 seasons in the majors, and in 18 of them, he struck out at least 100 times. Despite only reaching the 40 home run mark in a season twice, Jackson managed to hit 563 homers over his career, which put him 6th all-time at the time of his retirement. A 14-time All-Star and winner of 5 World Series, Jackson is held in high regard with both the Athletics and Yankees, with both teams having retired his jersey number. And while his 2,597 strikeouts are definitely a lot, my guess is that someone will break this record within the next 10 years. So that concludes our top 10 for most strikeouts in a career for batters. Who do you think will be on this list 10 years from now? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Outta Here Baseball for more content. Thanks for watching.